I'm going to be looking at the DC Collectibles Darkseid and Grail 2-pack. These figures are of course based on the New 52 costumes from a few years ago, and I must admit I'm not as familiar with a lot of the DC characters as I am with, say, the Marvel characters, so Grail is a character that I've never encountered before. So this is my first introduction to it, really. Here's an image of them together, so you can get a sense of scale and how they should roughly look next to each other. And of course these figures were from the Icons line from a few years ago. This was actually quite a short-lived line. The scale was slightly smaller than the 6-inch that we're used to, and it seemed to fail to find an audience, really. And it's a shame, because I have to say I actually really liked this line, and I thought there was some really nicely well-made figures. And the Darkseid was the biggest of them all. Straight out of the packaging, he towers above other figures in his collection, and he's tremendously heavy as well. And as you can see, the head sculpt, the detailing, the paint apps all look absolutely brilliant on this character. Like, they've done such a wonderful job here. And he's just visually very impressive. His stature, his sculpting, like I said, the paint apps have used, the colouring on him. He just looks amazing. And it's so nice to see in a day and age where builder figures, for example, are getting a lot smaller, and this feels like there's a lot of money gone into this figure. Like, if you know where your money's been spent. He's such quality, and it shows. In terms of articulation, yes, his head spins from side to side, and there's no hindrance from the collar there or anything, which is great. Although it is quite limited, that's as far as it will go, really, from either way. And there is no articulation for the neck to go up or down, so he's just looking straight. He has ball jointed shoulders, and what's very nice is that his shoulder pads are actually articulated, so they can accommodate a variety of different poses. And because of the weight of the figure, the joints are nice and sturdy, so there's no worries that they're going to snap off or break or anything like that. He does have the double jointed elbows, which is fantastic. Again, nice to see on a big chunky figure like this. Although the best I could get out of my figure is that 90-degree angle, really. I couldn't really get into make much use of that double joint, but it still looks good. The wrist does swivel 360 degrees, and there is articulation there so that the wrist can bend forwards and back. And he has articulation in the chest. He has a ball jointed chest joint there, so he can get some good range of movement in his upper chest. But he also has an ab joint, an ab crunch as well, which is actually very well hidden. So he has a good range of motion when it comes to looking down or looking backwards. You can actually get him in some quite dynamic poses there, which is fantastic. And here's a close-up of that ab joint. As you can see, it's very, very well concealed. And what's really nice is that the belt and the Omega sort of symbol is a very soft rubber, so it molds with the movement, so it never looks clunky or strange, and it looks fantastic, and it absolutely does not hinder the articulation at all. His legs do have those ball jointed hips, which are great. Allows his legs to go quite far out there. Obviously they can go a good distance forward, a little bit backwards, but pretty good. And obviously double jointed knees there as well, so for a good range of motion. He does have the ankle pivots, and of course his foot can go a fair distance backwards and a little bit forwards as well, which is cool. Now he does come with an extra pair of hands, so we've got open hands as well as fists, which are great. And again, it creates more of a range of dynamic poses you can put him in, and he does grasp other figures quite nicely in that hand. So yeah, really like this. Excellent touch. And moving on to the Grail figure, I really wasn't expecting a lot from this character. I don't really know much about the character. It felt like an extra that was being put in with the Darkseid, who was obviously the star attraction. But the detail on this figure is really nice. It looks really good. The paint apps there, the detail on like all the buttons and the belts and things like that, and the straps, and it looks nice and colourful. And yeah, it's actually a very nice sculpt. And what's really surprising to me about this figure is the amount of articulation. Her head, of course, spins a full 360 degrees. The hairpiece is a soft rubber, so it does not hinder that movement whatsoever. And what I have to say overall with this figure, it's very surprising just how much articulation this character has. Ordinarily, with the female characters, they have a lot less because they're a lot more brittle because of the shape and the size and the materials that they use often break or snap. But this figure has so much articulation, it's really impressive, and it took me completely by surprise. So obviously she does have the ball jointed shoulders there, she also has a swivel in the upper arm, she has double jointed elbows, not something you usually see on female characters of this scale. And you know, what a fantastic range of motion you can get out of that. She does also have, obviously, the ability to swivel her wrists 360 degrees, which is great, and articulation in the wrist, so it can go all the way back there and all the way forwards as well, which is, you know, super impressive. She also has that ball jointed chest joint, which is great, which gives you loads of articulation there, loads of movement, which is fantastic. But she also, like the Darkseid, has that ab crunch as well. So when you combine them, just look how far back that figure can go. That's amazing. And, you know, good distance forward as well, which is absolutely brilliant. Again, got the ball jointed thighs there, which is fantastic. And of course, the legs can go all the way forwards and all the way back. Double jointed knees as well. So again, just looking amazing at this point. How impressive is that? And also has the thigh swivel. So, you know, this figure probably has some of the most articulation I've ever seen in an action figure, and it's just really, really amazing. Does of course have the ankle pivots, the ball joint there, so of course can go forwards and backwards, and you know, get a lot of range in the foot, which is great. She does have some extras as well. She has a cloak, she has 2 sets of alternate hands, and a battle axe. It put it all together, and this is, wow, what an incredible figure. You know, it completely caught me by surprise, but very worthy in its own right. This is a fantastic addition to this set. So here they are together. To give you a sense of scale again, this looks about right to me. Like I said, I'm not that familiar with the characters, but it looks appropriate. Here's Grail with Supergirl from the same range. They look roughly to be the same height, which seems right. Here she is with Deathstroke. She's actually a little bit taller than Deathstroke. I'm assuming that's accurate, but I don't actually know. And then here we have the Darkseid with Deathstroke as well, to again, to give you that sense of scale, and wow, doesn't that look amazing? Here he is with the Supergirl again, just pretty incredible when you put these figures next to each other. And because Darkseid is sort of the Thanos of the DC universe, I thought I'd put him up against the Marvel Select there to give you a sense of scale and how they look. And here he is against the recent Marvel Legends Thanos. And as you can see, he just towers above both versions. And these figures are just packed full of potential. For, you know, having created really impressive dioramas, you know, they look great together. There's so much you can do with them in terms of their articulation, and there's no compromise on the detailing either. And I love that the Darkseid can actually hold some of these figures in his hands. I mean, again, it just really brings home the stature of this figure, how strong it is. And yeah, like I said, that potential for creating dioramas, action sequences, just for creating great displays. They're just fantastic looking figures, and it just, yeah, they really, really are super impressive. So it's probably no surprise that for me, this is absolutely the definition of a 5-star set. I absolutely love these figures, and if you can get them, get them. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please do give it a like, and remember to subscribe, as I'll be posting a lot more videos soon.